Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm Gina Cavalli, and as we take the journey together, what I love is I've been speaking with more and more adults lately that say that they've been diagnosed ASD, but later on in life. Some 24, some 32, some like the gentleman I'm about to speak to. Welcome, Clifford Brooks. How are you today?
I am fine and dandy like sour candy. How are you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you, Clifford, for being on the show. Not only were you diagnosed later in life, but I mean, you're a published author, you're a teacher, you're a board member at Autism Speaks. You're like moving and shaking, dude.
It's the point I want to make by being on the spectrum is that there's not just a niche for us, that we can really build a place being neurodivergent in any field. It's just about the sacrifice put into it to make it happen. And so over time, writing has been the way that I initially found peace and made sense of the world, and never ever, as cheesy as it sounds, thought that people would want to buy it. It was just how my mind found a quiet spot.
When did you first get published?
I was 11 or 12 years old, and actually remember that the judges not believing that it could be written by someone so young, when it was just the richness of what I call my mind palace. I realized that way that there was something to that I should follow.
So you got published at 12 years old. It sounds like, what was the inspiration behind you writing at such an early age? Was it because there were so many things going on in your head, it was easy to get them out on paper and pen?
Had to get them out on paper. I used to obsessively write in journals until I was able to turn that creativity, and that it was almost hypergraphia, but not quite. I had to get all that. I always believe that those on the spectrum, we kind of digest the world in sound bites and in shock waves. And so if I didn't get that out somehow, there was a lot of noise in my head. And so I love to make people comfortable. So I would write every year for 3 or 4 years throughout middle school and high school. I'd write a funny nonfiction, something making light of my condition. And that was truly just making people laugh is always what you want to do, because when you're on this spectrum, you know how uncomfortable it is. So when you can give somebody else that comfort, it means a lot. And so that really inspired it.
And how many books do you have published now?
I have 2 full-length, all traditionally published books. You can find them in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, anywhere where they're sold. And my third one just got signed by Mercer University Press a couple of weeks ago, so I'm stoked about that.
Well, congratulations. And you're not just a publisher of books, you also publish a magazine as well. Tell everybody about that magazine.
It's called the Blue Mountain Review, and it's read by just over 1 million people. And it too, it's a journal of culture. It started out primarily as a creative writing magazine, but then we got more and more into the business side of things and found out that a lot of writers were disillusioned in not making it because they didn't have the right education. They didn't have the inside knowledge. So that's the niche that we wanted to fill with the magazine. And again, being neurodivergent, it allows me access to these wonderful, brilliant men and women at a distance that's comfortable for me,
Clifford Brooks here, author, publisher, teacher, and board member at Autism Speaks. Clifford, you're in a classroom right now. Are you on your lunch break?
I am. This year, I've started teaching for UCLA, teaching grammar. That semester just wrapped up, or quarter rather. And the greatest blessing of this year was being brought on here at Pleasant Hill Montessori School. Almost every child here is neurodivergent. It's like being surrounded by my people all the time, and always I couldn't choose between teaching and writing. To me, they're inexplicable. I can't divide one for the other without perishing both. And so to be able to be hands-on with kids this young in elementary school, knowing kind of how they think, it's a brilliant experience. It really is.
It sounds like you have a great passion and entrepreneurship way about you. I have to think that you kind of came from an entrepreneurial family. I mean, because, sometimes people on the spectrum lack the motivation. We know they can do it. They just lack the motivation to get there. So what keeps you so motivated, Clifford?
It used to haunt me. I come from a very long line of successful business people. So when I sat back, again, in your mid-20s, you're supposed to, thought you figured everything out, which is laughable now at 47. But, you're like, where does this business sense? Where's this business sense? Because we could always make numbers work. And then when my first book came out, I went to Nashville's Festival of the Book, and that's where I really got in and meshed in the culture of writing and the business and the industry, and realizing that there's some huge holes in the system. And those holes, again, is the educational pieces that created the company, the Southern Collective Experience, which launched the magazine, the Blue Mountain Review. The company it includes artists from all over the country, actually internationally, from all genres, all of us working in the same direction to bring peace and understanding and love, really, while doing what we want to do and making money at it. And that's what I really want to impress.
Are you able to put these people on your podcast?
Yes. Oh, yes. I love to bring them on. That's with my NPR show, Dante's Old South, and then the secondary podcast, This Business of Music and Poetry. This is the same. It's an extenuation of the magazine, again, where I'm able to talk to people at a distance that I'm not ticking so bad, and it can feel comfortable. It's a gift every time I'm able to sit down and be looking across the table at somebody who's a hero of mine and just thinking, what universe is it that I'm able to do something like this? And it's because of being neurodivergent. It is absolutely 100% the drive, the stubborn will, the if you can lock onto that thing you want, we have a way of getting there. And that's what I want everybody to take away from this with what I'm doing.
I can tell that you have got the drive and the motivation, and it seems like you stay constantly busy. Do you have any downtime? What do you do for fun?
I mean, absolutely. What I do, like that's this, where we can sometimes be compulsive or obsessive, to say the least.
Yeah.
When you love what you do, it's fun. And so I have friends like, are you going to stop for a second and just sit? And I'm like, no, I love it, because we're so wired to think work is a bad thing. It's a terrible 4-letter word. And so when, between writing and being excited about that and, being able to play pretend, I'm 47 years old and I get to pay bills, at least in part, by playing make-believe. It's really hard to wake up and be upset. However, the anxiety is always there. And I don't mean that as a negative thing. I think that all of us have that anxiety, but like right now, and when I get up in the morning, I still have that tightness in my chest. However, when you feel like you got some real calm and peace and direction, that tension loosens.
So I noticed though something, Clifford, like on your website, you have these teachable courses.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it because, of course, I want to know what this teachable course is all about. And obviously, it's a pay to kind of come to this course. Mm-hmm. Can you please tell me what this course is? Is it geared for young adults, children? I couldn't really access it because, obviously, you have to pay for it.
Right.
But I'd love to know more about this teachable course. And I think other families would like to know about it.
Yeah, there are two. There's one called the Working Writer, where it's another step into those who know they want to write and they know they've got the fire, they know they've got the dedication, they've got they've got a game plan, and they need to have that coach and that practical knowledge to move from A to B to C to D. The second one is Adulting with Autism, and I was diagnosed at 39 or 40, and it absolutely changed my life. I have had a incredibly blessed life. But when I finally understood, when I sat with a therapist who went over step by step, bit by bit, to really understand what it was and sit back with me and say, you have high functioning autism. And I didn't know a lot about it then, but just it felt right. And then the more I researched, the more I understood myself. The more I understood myself, the less awkward I was in public. And I want to take all of that knowledge and what I've gained, and very, very specific about not being a doctor. But I do want to bring the people, and it's geared for, really the two classes kind of overlap with one another. I found that many creative people are on the spectrum, so one tends to bleed into the other. But with the Adulting with Autism, it's to bring some camaraderie and comfort from middle 20s, late teens up into adulthood is really where I would feel comfortable working. With the writing component, though, it's across the board.
Is it affordable for people on the spectrum to take?
Very, very. I wanted to make enough to cover the costs and keep my light bills on. And on the other side of the spectrum, no pun intended, other side of the spectrum, I'm not here to squeeze money out of people. So it's $100 for the whole class with an introductory Zoom meeting. There are packages later with mentoring that you can save some money. But I do have in special situations coupons that I can give to people who are really interested in getting ahead, either in writing or with understanding their neurodivergence.
Well, it sounds like you would be an awesome mentor for someone, and that's what these classes would do for them. And I'm sitting here speaking with Clifford Brooks, who is an author, a published author, and you have several books, 3 now under your belt. You're a teacher. You're sitting on the board at Autism Speaks. What are some things, I could tell you this, Clifford, as a mom, and Lyric is only 10 years old, and I see a very bright future for Lyric. He is incredibly smart, incredibly funny, and gift of gab, and he's social, and he's gorgeous, and he's got his whole life ahead of him. But I am a mom, and I worry. I'm like, oh my gosh, these social pressures out there, being around neurotypical people, they can put demands, and maybe he will have a hard time navigating in this world. What are some things that you can tell me that made it easier for you once getting diagnosed, or maybe just what you want people to know about your journey and your life, and ways to make it maybe easier to navigate?
Breathe. We have we have a real bad habit of holding our breath. A great deal of our anxiety, like when I'm listening to questions, I'll have this habit to, and I'll concentrate on something, and then I'll start to feel panicked. I don't know why. And one of my friends that know me well enough will go, "You haven't breathed in like 5 minutes, bro. You gotta." And then sure enough, like, oh yeah, there it is. So meditation, I live by the Calm app. I don't get any money from them for saying that, but I do it 3 times a day, 15 minutes at least. Exercise. There's something for me in running and the exertion of pushing weights that takes the edge of that anxiety off, that I've not found anything healthy to do otherwise. Having that schedule, it is absolute biblical truth for us. And it's so true for everybody that you function better with a schedule. But for us, there's the rigidity of it. Staying busy for me keeps me out of trouble, not just literally, but figuratively, mentally, emotionally, and having that inner circle, that's the component of those people that,
Yeah.
All of us walk around not knowing, I wonder if we were understood, or, I wonder if they heard me the way I wanted to. And we've all, I think everyone walks away and we have some kind of that anxiety. It's just more compounded with us. And so when you have that, and then there's real vulnerability with it when you have to go to friends and be like, look, I don't think I'm seeing this right. Can you help me discern the way? The company does that for me. I am extraordinarily blessed.
I have to tell you that I learned something from you, and I've applied it. Per one of our phone call conversations that we had prior to us recording this episode, you had said that, sometimes Gina, I come in the house and I'll open up the door and I get all of my stimming out because of everything that has happened to me throughout the day. And I want to let you know what I did with Lyric. Lyric sometimes does this grunting. He'll start grunting or whatever, and I know it's part of stimming. And so I stopped him and I said, "Hey, Lyric, listen, not everybody gets that. Like, I get it because I'm your mom, but like, not everybody gets that. You can't do that in front of everybody. And so I need you to recognize it, and I need you to tell me, like, Mom, I just need a minute," and you excuse yourself, or wherever you're at, Lyric. You have to recognize that you feel that coming on and say, "I'm sorry, I'll be back with you." And do you know, Clifford, hand to God, yesterday he had a very frustrating day at the store. I had to take him to buy a tuxedo. So we had to get measured at one store. Then we had to go to another store. It was like
no
hell,
bueno.
okay?
No bueno.
Yeah, right. So he was very frustrated, which in turn made me frustrated. And do you know, when we got in the car, he said, "Mom, I think I'm going to have a moment." He goes, "I can't really excuse myself here." He goes, "But I think I'm going to have an even bigger moment when I get home." Do you know, he walked in the house, went upstairs, and then he came back down about 15 minutes later. He goes, "Mom, I had a mini meltdown." I was like, I thought of you. I have goosebumps. I thought of you, Clifford, because you told me that you sometimes wait all day long, and then you get in the house, you like close that door, and it is on.
It's on. It's just all the my neck ticks, and I'll do the grunting, and knowing you've got that space will make it less likely that you'll want to do it. When you start to tick and someone catches it, you can't not do it after that point. Like, there's a trigger in your head. So knowing that you've got that ability to say like, hey, let me just take a minute, let me step away, and know that if whomever you're talking to is pushing you not to have that free time, you need to step away from that person. Like, there's a reason. As confused as we can be sometimes about people, when we get that God feeling, that gut nod that says, "Oh no, this is wrong. This is wrong." Listen to it. I have done it 100% of the time, and 0% of the time has it ever not worked in my favor. Where I felt like somebody was legitimately pushing me into a corner to make a decision. Where if I can't say no, wait. I don't need to explain why I need a minute, but this is a significant, I need to step away.
Well, you certainly taught me something through that phone call, and I was able to apply it with Lyric. And Lyric is so smart and so knows his own self that he was able to apply it too. So thank you for teaching me something, and you didn't even realize what you were doing. And I think that's probably one of these great little secrets about you, Clifford Brooks. I'm sitting here, author, published author, a speaker, a teacher, sitting on the board at Autism Speaks. Like, I think that you are a great mentor for younger adults on the spectrum. For them to see everything that you're accomplishing in life, I mean, you're just killing it, dude. You're killing it. And I know that your mom, your dad, your family, I mean, I know that you're my age when I say this, but I know that they have to be proud of you, and that you should be proud of yourself too.
It took a long time, and I don't say any of it with melodrama, because it takes all of us who have any sort of awareness some time to kind of go, this is who I am. Am I comfortable with this guy? All right, what am I not comfortable with? How do I work on that? Having a therapist that I can depend on, and that'll irritate me at least 4 or 5 times per session, which he's supposed to, and having that family, being able to, at this point in my life, to see a new comfort in my parents' faces now that they've seen a new comfort level in me. You know, it's understanding is everything.
How can people get in touch with you? One, to take that teachable course. I think that that's a terrific opportunity for young adults who are either aspiring to be a writer or just kind of want to learn to navigate the world a little easier in that headspace. How can they get that teachable course online?
If you Google the Brooks sessions with my name, Clifford Brooks, you'll find it on teachable.com. No problem whatsoever. You can navigate and check out both of the classes I have there with introductory videos. My website is www.cliffbrooks.com. I can't believe I scored that so easy. But www.cliffbrooks.com. My company is a little more difficult. We couldn't find an abbreviation. So it's www.southerncollectiveexperience.com. And you can find
Is that where they can find the magazines
the
too?
magazine, the NPR show, both podcasts. You can find all that stuff from my website, and if you can't find it there, it's definitely on the company's website.
You know, I Googled you because I Google all of my guests. I kind of Facebook stalk you too. You've got lots of followers. You've got socials out there. So you're on Facebook. Yeah. You're on all of the social platforms. You have southerncollectiveexperience.com, which is this great website that offers up not just the books, but then all of the magazines. Clifford, what's something that you can leave me with? What's next for you? What are you gonna go after next? Because I have with every ounce of my being, believe that you, above all, will get it and tackle it and make it your own. What are you gonna do next?
I'm knee deep in finding real peace, and I greatly enjoy it. It's enhanced doing what I love and realizing what all that sacrifice and hard work went into. Again, no melodrama, just point of fact. To be able to step back and get up in the morning and really be happy about it, and sit down and look at this new work, at this new book that's the first book written through the lens of true understanding of what I am and who I am and where I'm going. That book is really where it's at. To be able to sit still, that's what I want to do.
You know, to be peaceful, it takes a lot of work, and I love that you are incorporating some yoga and some mindfulness into that, because and you don't have to be neurodivergent or you know, have neuro differences to be scatterbrained and to have your head so busy that you can't find that peace. I struggle with that as well, and I find myself, and I love to work out. I work out every day, and and although I get a lot from working out physically, it's my walks that I take that I'm able to work things out in my brain, and I'm able to talk out loud because I don't care if anybody's walking beside me or whatever, but I'm able to work things out about how I can approach people or how my feelings are with somebody that's approached me. And it really gives me a sense of calm.
It does. If you start to feel like you're going to nut up, get outside. Every time. I'm serious. Get outside. Just go outside and get some space. Get some air. I promise it works every time.
Clifford Brooks. You got to go online to cliffbrooks.com, right?
Yes.
You got to go to southerncollectiveexperience.com, right?
Yes.
You got to find this guy on socials. You've got to take his teachable classes. If you have young adult children, 23, 24, 26 years old, and they are either having a hard time finding their way, whether it's professionally or personally or whatnot, these teachable courses sound like it's a no-brainer to me. Clifford, you are being a force for good, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
As we wrap up today's episode, I just want to say how awesome it is that I feel like everybody can kind of pop into one of these shows about whatever the topic is. So whether it's you just getting a diagnosis, whether it's you looking for a therapy or an advocate, or having an adult child that's getting ready to transition from college and going into young adulthood who might need one of Clifford Brooks's classes. Whatever the case may be, I think you'll find it right here with Life with the Spectrum. So as we continue to live with the journey, we want you to like, comment, share, subscribe below. And again, until next time, we live life with the spectrum. See ya.